All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 15. This week, we're going to look at our final theory of the semester, which is uses and gratifications theory. And this theory is, I think, relatively easy to understand. As far as some of the theories we've talked about this semester, I would say this is more of a limited effects theory. It basically says, the media is not all powerful, but because we have choices as viewers, we can decide, how we're going to use media, the ways that we're going to access content, what we're going to use media, different types of media for. And so one of the things I like about this theory is it looks at different motives people have for using the mass media. And we'll look at various types of media, not just television, but radio, everything along the way. So think of media in the broadest term possible. So basically, Katz and Blumler came up with this theory probably in the early 1970s. It was basically an idea that challenged that powerful notion of media influence, that the media had the ability to influence our attitudes, beliefs, and behavior strongly. And so one of the things they argued is that, it really depends on how people use the media. And so they talk about a variety of motives that people use whenever they encounter media. And so one that I think is very important right now is information seeking motives. So all of us are concerned about COVID-19, what's going on in the news, what's happening potentially in the job market, what's happening with the economy. There's a lot going on right now. And so many of us are probably on information overload just because we're watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox, whatever stations we like. We're also reading things all the time online. And so, that's the thing I think I do the most. My kids are watching television, and so I'm not able to watch as much news as I would like to. So I really use the internet and online news probably the most right now because I'm concerned about what's going on in the world, as we all should be. And so many times that's the primary reason why we use media is to get information. But we're also looking up other stuff, how what's happening with our food supply. Once it gets hot and humid outside, is that going to diminish the strength of the coronavirus? So I never thought I would read so many articles about science and biology and viruses, but it's been a really interesting couple of months just learning all of this about the virus itself. All right, so that's one set of motives, is just learning things from the news, watching a history program. I love the History Channel. I like to watch lots of different documentaries. So it's less about entertainment and more about getting the information that we need. A lot of times we do this to reduce uncertainty. So we don't like it when uncertainty feels high. And right now, it's definitely a time when we're uncertain about our future as a country. Even next semester at George Mason, we're really uncertain what's going to happen. Are we going to continue with online classes? Is there going to be a gradual opening of the university? Have social distancing somehow in larger classrooms? We're not really sure yet. So uncertainty is high. That makes us feel stressed. So information seeking tends to go up in times of high uncertainty and stress. All right. Another motive that Katz and Blumler talk about is personal identity. Believe it or not, we seek out role models in the media. So we look for people who are like us. We see different characters in films and in shows, and we say, okay, this person, is similar to me. They seem to have reacted in a similar way. I think that's one of the reasons why we like reality TV shows. We can see people who might be similar to us who have been put into strange circumstances for the show. And so we kind of think about, hey, how would I react, in that way? But personal identity can be other things as well. For instance, if you gravitate towards more liberal news programs, that reinforces your more liberal identity. If you like some of the more conservative types of media, that might be reinforcing, more of an identity of somebody who has political views that are more on the right. Sometimes people watch religious things to identify with a major religion that they belong to. They may watch different shows of individuals who are from different races or ethnicities, shows in different languages. All of this kind of reflects our personal identity. Okay. Other motives might be social integration and interaction. And so I think all of us really feel the need to be connected with one another, especially right now when we're doing more asynchronous communication with our classes. I have some graduate students. We meet every Tuesday night at Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, just because they really miss having that face-to-face real-time interaction. And so even though we do things asynchronously with bulletin boards and so forth, like we do in our class, we do try to spend a couple hours together just talking and exchanging ideas, which I think is really important to graduate education in particular. But I think everybody really misses the social interaction with one another. That's one of the things I don't like about teaching in this format. I would rather be in our classroom interacting with all of you, seeing you, just having that social interaction. I think is really important to us as human beings. So many times when we tune in to some type of media channel or even social media to talk with friends, we're doing so because our motive is social interaction. We want that connection with other people. And sometimes we develop what are called parasocial relationships. Sometimes we feel a connection with somebody like a newscaster that we like, or Oprah, or some Dr. Phil. There's a lot of people out there that we like to follow. We have almost developed what's called the parasocial relationship with them. We feel like they're a friend. They're somebody who's comforting to us. So uses and gratifications theory would say that this is a type of motive that people are craving. So typically in non-COVID-19 times, we watch media because we want to join the conversation. So at work, if everybody's talking about Breaking Bad or some hit show that everyone's watching on Netflix, and I haven't watched it, then I really feel like I'm out of the conversation. And so many times we watch media just so we can be watching the shows that everybody's talking about. So we have some idea what it is that they're referring to, and we can enter into the conversations. All right, and then all of us probably are using the next motive, which is entertainment, diversion. And so I think we do this a lot, especially during times of high stress. We're tired of hearing about the death toll in New York City, and as horrible as that is. And I know we all have to be aware of that, and it's sad I know for a lot of people have family members there. And so I'm so sorry to hear that news. But I think, at some point during the day, we say, hey, I can't hear all these numbers. It's too depressing. I've got to do something. And so many times we will use the media for a form of diversion. We'll play a video game. We'll watch a silly show. I'm finding with my son, I'm playing lots of Angry Birds because that's one of his favorite video games. And so we can spend that time together, just distracting ourselves from all of the horrible things that are going on in the world right now. Certainly, we've been watching lots of comedy shows, binge watching stuff on Netflix. All of this is a need that's being fulfilled. It's a passing time, hoping we can get through the months that the social distancing might take, just trying to divert us from all the bad news that's out there. So that's one of the things I like about this theory, is that we have lots of different reasons why we use the media. And so that might limit the influence of any particular type of programming. I'm not paying attention really right now to a lot of political stuff. So those ads are going to be more or less ineffective on me, just because I'm not tuning in to any of that type of content online or on cable television. All right. So finally, one of the things I'll just say is that, media has really changed, as well as media content. And so now that we have media convergence, we have lots of different things: video, internet, cell phone, texting, GPS chips, all of this stuff in one device like a smartphone. And it allows us to interact in ways that are really, really interesting. So we can find out, for instance, where's the closest screen space where there's few people walking right now, because I really want to be away from people to do this social distancing. We can use GPS information to find out some of that. And so certainly public health officials are using it to see how often people leave their house, where do they go, if they're not sheltering in place. And so all of this really can give us some insight into how this disease is spreading. But I think having all of that ability into one device, like a smartphone, is really interesting. And so thankfully we have that ability now to entertain ourselves, do work, find out information, make those social connections by calling people, texting them, interacting with them on social media. It's really nice that we have one device that can do all of that. If we didn't have that, I think we'd be going crazy in a million directions right now. So I do think, as unfortunate as COVID-19 is, it is allowing us to have some connection with the world because of the way that technology has evolved. Certainly over 20, 30 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to function like we have under this crisis. So the media has really helped us out in many ways. And ultimately, it's going to be the media that keeps us informed and helps us to get through this time. All right. I will post the slides, the updated slides, and an activity for this week. I will be with you again about the upcoming final exam. So I'll do a little video review, or I'll post some type of review or study guide as a Word document. But I will have something to say about the final exam. It'll be very similar to the midterm exam. It'll be online. You'll have a window of time in which you can take it. It'll be true, false, multiple choice. So there won't be a lot of surprises. It'll only be covering the theories from since the midterm, basically. So you're not responsible for all of the material throughout the semester. So keep that in mind. I will be sending more messages, emails, and so forth about the final exam. So be looking forward to those. And in the meantime, I hope that you all stay safe and well, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.